So this comment is, first of all, rude. Second of all, it's actually very, very interesting because for a long time, my mom, who is Salvadorian, came at 9 years old, gained amnesty because of all the bullshit the U.S., did to El Salvador, which created the gangs, which created a hostile environment, which is the reason why she had to escape her home country and was able to come with papeles, with papers. By the way, when I make my accent like that, that's on purpose for those of you who are not getting it, even though I am like straight up a no Salvo kid. So my mom, for a long time, even though I knew she was Salvadorian, I didn't know what that meant. I really didn't. They don't teach us anything about it. She didn't want to talk about it. She never spoke about her childhood. Like, honestly, little by little, I was able to figure out like how she came over here, at what age, and all that stuff, right? And when your parents don't talk about where they came from, you actually don't know where the fuck they came from. If they don't talk about their culture, if they don't talk about anything but the food and the music, how are you supposed to know? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And my mom, I didn't even know she spoke Spanish until like a couple years ago, because I had never heard my mom speak Spanish. She'd only spoken English around me, to me. You know what I mean? Like to my other family members, to her sisters. She only spoke English. So I legit hadn't heard her speak Spanish. Now, if you know, you know. Spanish Salvadorian is different than Spanish Mexican. And like English in the US, depending on where you're from, you're going to have a different dialect. If you're from New York, you're going to have a different kind of slang. If you're from LA, you're going to have a different kind of slang. If you're from Texas, Florida, whatever, same shit. You're going to have a different kind of dialect in Spanish in Mexico, in different parts of Mexico, and different countries. Same shit. And for a long time, I saw that my mom would introduce herself and tell people she was Puerto Rican. Straight up. She would tell people, we would meet people or meet her friends. I remember being little, and she would say that she was Puerto Rican. And I would look at her like, I thought we were Salvadorian. And she even shushed me a couple times, and she would nudge me, she would pinch me to like basically keep my mouth shut. I didn't realize what this was about. Like, why was she lying? As someone who's like a little bit on the autism spectrum, my son is on the spectrum, and I'm pretty sure I am too. I was like, why are you lying? Like, why are we lying about this? Like, why does it matter, right? Now, this is going to be a long one. Strap in. As I grew up, I started, dating at 16, 17, 18, where I found my first husband. Still looking for my second and my third. That's a joke, by the way. And I was telling my soon-to-be husband at the time, now ex-husband, that his friends, that I was Salvadorian, because they would ask me, oh, where's she from? Where's her family from? Because a lot of Mexicans, that's like the first thing they'll ask you. Latinos, they'll ask you, where you from? Where you from? Since we're in LA, it's a big melting pot. It's not like Florida, with most of the people are either Puerto Rican or Cuban. It's literally like, where are you from? You could be from anywhere in LA. You could be from Nicaragua, Guatemala. You could be from Costa Rica. You could be from anywhere, right? So they would ask him. He would say, I'm Salvador. Bitch, tell me why every single time. And me being a fucking no Salvo kid, straight up, LA native, straight up, whitewashed, basically. Grew up in Downey, the Mexican Beverly Hills. If you know, was like super shocked and appalled and surprised when her friends were like, oh, his friends would react all, oh my God, she's Salvadorian, you need to watch out, she's Salvadorian. And I would be like, why are they acting like that? Because if you know my lore, I actually grew up with my dad's side of the family, which is why most of the time, going back to this comment, I say I'm Mexican, because my mom never spoke to us about her country, her history, her culture. I mean, as much as the only thing I knew was like my grandma made her tamales different. And you know them Salvadorian tamales are fucking different. Super aguado, literally nothing like Mexican tamales. The way she spoke Spanish was different, She would say, a la gran puta, all that stuff. But Besides that, like the little exposure I had with my grandma, because my mom was the weekend parent, my dad was the full custody parent. So my dad took full custody by force, by the way, a story for another day. And I didn't understand what they meant by that, and he was just like, it's nothing, it's nothing. Bitch finds out that the reason my mom never talked about El Salvador, the reason that it felt like she was ashamed of it, the reason she never spoke about it, the reason she never, ever, ever wanted to bring up her history, her lore, her, like, our family, you know, like, history, literally 2 years ago, 2022, only because of COVID, only because we were all gonna die, did she finally fucking tell me that the reason she never talked about being Salvadorian, the reason she didn't like me calling myself Salvadorian, the reason that she always pretended to be Puerto Rican and not Salvadorian, was because she literally said this to me verbatim: I escaped with barely my life, Eileen, out of that place. I did not escape with my life for you to say you're Salvadorian. So you can imagine the amount of pain, shame, the amount of trauma that my mother has to not even say she's Salvadorian, to not even be comfortable telling people she's Salvadorian. Not only that, every single fucking time I tell people I'm Salvadorian, of course they're gonna bring MS-13 and some other gang-related bullshit, which was funded a lot of the times by, guess what, the U.S. government. Thank you very much. And you can tell, and you know, because I started finally looking into Salvadorians' history, you know, the YouTube's documentary, like how did they even become a country? You know, finds out they defeated the Spanish 3 times before they finally got colonized and taken over. So El Salvador is very hearty. The people are very charismatic, very intelligent, very resourceful. The food is amazing. They're beautiful people, beautiful culture, hilarious. Every time I meet someone Salvadorian, they're so fucking funny. Yet my mom was ashamed. Why? Because of the negative stereotypes that people have specifically towards Salvadorian women and Salvador overall. Now, did that make it okay for this person to call me that? No, it's not okay. It's actually extremely fucked up. And literally the reason why my mom didn't want to say she's Salvadorian, because of you motherfuckers who write fucked up shit like that. Literally. And for so long, people were like, how are you Mexican and Salvadorian? There's a lot of us out there, by the way. But how are you Mexican and Salvadorian? Mexicans and Salvadorians hate each other. How are you both? Bitch, how the fuck am I supposed to know that? How am I supposed to know that? They met here in LA. They met at church. Okay? They met at church. Like, what do you want me to say? And then I started changing it to, you know what? It's because my family is like, you know, like Romeo and Juliet. They hate each other, but somehow they found love for each other. And they made 3 of us, me and my sister and my brother. Now, I will say to this little rant here that I have noticed that a lot of men, Mexican men, find Salvadorian women, how do you say, voluptuous. They find us exotic because we're a little curvier. And you could tell in my videos, girls a little curvy. Girls got a little fat ass, all right? And that's all on my Salvadorian genes. On my mama. I don't need no BBL. Maybe a little tummy tuck, but I don't need no BBL, bitch. So I'm very proud now because I finally got a little bit of history. I finally understand a little bit of why my mom would lie. I finally understand why people have those reactions, and I don't feel so lost. And I think that to me has helped my mental health the most, being a first generation mixed Latina. And oh yeah, fuck you, Vic. I hope you rot in hell.